Wow, so what an interesting debate we had between the millennials and the Gen Zs. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Very, very quickly, we're coming to the final session for this festival, and it's about overcoming the hard truths of motherhood with conscious parenting. Before we dive in, I just wanted to again reiterate that we may be engaging in thoughtful dialogue around important issues, and some of these content may be emotionally sensitive for you. So, if at any point you feel uncomfortable with the topics discussed, please reach out to your local mental health support. There's a link below. So, I'm just going to stop at this slide just for a couple of seconds in case anybody needs it. Now, this topic is so relatable to me as a mother of a 3 year old and expecting another. And that's really what inspired this because so many people are telling me that they are looking forward to this session. Mom guilt, social media, and changes in our appearances are just some challenges that exacerbate the whole mother's postpartum transition. And today we have a fellow mommy, a familiar face. Sheila Sim share lessons from her firstborn and tell us how she prioritizes well-being while finding her parenting style. A little bit about Sheila, although I think most of us already are very familiar with her. Sheila is a Singaporean actress, model, and advocate of positive psychology. Sheila completed her diploma in positive psychology and started Wonder and Wellness with the simple intention of making mental wellness accessible to the masses. As a mom of to 2 year old and soon to be a mother of two, Sheila enjoys sharing her experiences on motherhood and women's mental health and well-being. So thank you very much for joining us, Sheila, and I am personally looking forward to this discussion later. And of course, moderating this fireside chat is Robin, our very own executive coach at Intellect. So I'm going to hand the time over to Robin.
Awesome. Welcome. Thank you for that introduction,
Thank
Cassandra, and
you.
welcome to Sheila. We are so happy to have you here, and we look forward to having a chat and learning a little bit more about you and motherhood, and we can all learn from that. Can I also remind everybody here that's in the audience to absolutely communicate with Sheila as much as you like. So use those reactions, let her know your feelings and thoughts, but also if you've got questions, we will have some time at the end of the session today where Sheila can actually answer your questions for you right now. So do use the Q&A section, preferably not the chat, the Q&A, and we'll be able to post those questions and discuss them later on. Sheila, hi, how are you today?
Hi, Robin. I'm actually having a very challenging morning. I had a very challenging morning. I'm really good now. As it is with motherhood, every day is like a Kindle surprise. Some days are better than others, and some days, like today, can be very challenging. I mean, like my daughter is 2 years old and experiencing a lot of overwhelming emotions and having difficulty expressing them sometimes. And so today was one of those days where she woke up on the wrong side of the bed and just just being refusing everything, like whatever you feed her she just like goes no, and then I want to give her a hug and she says no. So yeah, this morning was tough, and what I did was it was hard, like sometimes on days like that I really don't know what to do because so in the end what I chose to do was to like exit myself for a while. I just told her, Layla, I need space now. I'm gonna go to the room for a while and I'll come back in a minute. And so that's what I did. I went to the room, meditated, calmed myself down, cried a little bit, and then came back out. And before she went to school, I gave her a hug. I said, I'm so sorry for exiting breakfast earlier. Sometimes it's very hard. I know that you are going through a lot of emotions, and sometimes it's very hard for me too. And I also need my space. But the important thing is that we all are going through this together, and I'm always here. And then we did a breathing exercise together, and yeah, so that was my morning. I think we kind of like settled that issue then, and she went to school happy, and the rest of the days became good again, yeah, for me.
Sheila, what a great way of dealing with a difficult situation, whether it's with an
Ah,
adult or a child, right?
yeah, I try my best, but sometimes I really don't have the capacity to do to calm myself down too. So I really do have to exit. I don't know if that's a good thing. Maybe Robin, you can advise on that too. Like sometimes I feel like, okay, if I walk away right now, would she feel abandoned? Would she feel like she's so sad because no one's dealing with her emotions with her?
Okay, interesting. Interesting. What if we looked at it from another perspective where you could be helping Layla learn to control her feelings? What if you're also teaching her how to manage difficult situations and where she might feel overwhelmed, she'll say it's okay for mum to walk away and take stock and take rest and then come back. And I think that abandonment bit that you added in there, I'd question that and explore that a little bit more, because you didn't abandon her. You came back when you were calm. You came
Right.
back when you were able to chat. You came back when Layla was calm. You gave her
Okay.
some time to process her emotions, and then you got to work on them together and to share.
Yeah, because sometimes I struggle and I don't know whether I should be there to kind of go through the emotions with her instead of letting her become first and then come back, because I don't want her to also feel like, I will only be there for her when she's feeling happy or calm. Like I also want to be there with her when she's feeling frustrated or feeling angry.
Yeah, we're human and there's no
Yeah.
fixed way of being. And so think about your own life journey and your own learning journey.
Mm,
Sometimes you needed support, and sometimes as a person growing up you wanted to explore and work things out for yourself, right? If you
mm,
always carried Layla, she would have never learned how to walk or crawl and
mm.
then walk. So you will connect with your new soul, your young person, and you will be so in tune with them. You'll learn to trust yourself, to know
Mm,
when they need a little bit of space and when you need to come in and guide them or support them or nurture them and stand
right.
by the side. So
Yeah.
I think you did
Thank
a
you for
great job
that.
this morning, Sheila. And everybody else that's listening as well, let's give Sheila a little bit of love. Let her know in
Oh,
your reactions that, this is what parenting is all about. Testing things out in the moment, trying it out and exploring, and then coming back and chatting as a family or as a parent and a child. Oh, look at that love,
no,
Sheila.
thank you so much, guys. That's so sweet.
Awesome, awesome. And Sheila, that's one thing that I love about you. You are so authentic and so realistic, and we've been able to see that in some of your recent posts. And I think there's one a couple of days ago, you talked about how motherhood is triggering, right?
Yes, it is completely, completely triggering.
Yeah, and we've talked about that a little bit today. So tell me about how, at this point, how parenting has changed you. How have you changed?
I think parenthood has changed me completely, in every aspect of my life. It has changed my lifestyle. It has changed my priorities. It has changed my character. It has changed the number of hours of sleep that I get. But it has also taught me how to be resilient. It has taught me a lot of. I have grown so much patience ever since I had Layla, in ways that I didn't realize that I could. So it has changed so many things. I mean, I was always somebody who's very stress free. Honestly, I kind of like go with the flow, and I am somebody who prides myself on that because I am like very much in the present. I don't really get stressed over the future, things that we cannot control. But I think parenthood is sometimes doesn't allow us to do that. For example, I have to worry about what she's gonna be eating the next meal, and so I have to make a trip to the supermarket and like, okay, what are we gonna be doing for the next week or the few days if it's weekend? What are we gonna do? So we have to plan things like that, and that has kind of made me. Yeah, that has changed me. I wouldn't say whether it's in a good way or not, but it has definitely changed me.
What are the benefits to that, Sheila? How have the benefits been to you to be a little bit more planned, to have a few more different things going on? Is
I
there a
think,
benefit?
yeah, there is definitely benefit in that. I feel like it also helps me to be more in control of the situation. Of course, all of us know that parenthood is never about being in control, and we can never control parenthood or the child, if anything. But it helps me to get things in order. And also, okay, like, so planning in a way for me, it's also, okay, what if it happens like that? A, and then what if it doesn't happen? Then B. So that is also planning, and that has helped me to get myself more collected in that sense, and I'm not surprised by what's going to pop up for me. So I like that change, and I like that. I definitely like the patience that I have grown and the resilience as well. I used to be a lot more emotionally not regulated. uh, I mean, it was just always me, right? But then now I would reflect more and be more aware of how I'm feeling and how I'm acting. It's not so much about how I'm feeling, but how I'm responding and acting in regards to my feelings, because I know someone else is watching and she's learning all the time. So that definitely has helped me to change the way that I process my behavior and my thoughts. And I like that, because I always believe that, it's all about rewiring ourselves. And it's like meditation kind of was very beneficial, honestly, because I feel like before I started meditation, it was always very impulsive, like how I get stimulated and then I react immediately. But what meditation helped me to do is to kind of put a time gap between the stimulant as well as the reaction. So I don't really react immediately. I have time to process it. But then now with motherhood, I think it's even more so that I have to be thinking about how I respond. Of course, I think there are good days and bad days, and a lot of times I feel like I actually wrote in my post a few days ago that on bad days it's never Layla that caused me to feel tired or so-called worse. It's always my own emotions, like maybe I had a quarrel with my husband, or I had a stressful time at work, or things like that, and then I have more short fused. And and also, like I mentioned in the post, that inevitably sometimes I the anger and frustration appears in front of her, and but she doesn't deserve it, and she doesn't understand, because in her world, like, she's still going through so many different emotions, right? And sometimes she doesn't understand how come mommy is being different and being weird today, and then she cries, and because she feels like, okay, I'm different, but she doesn't know how to process it. So
Yeah.
all these things are things that I have started noticing. I think it's like something that I have to notice as she grows older. I mean, and like with parenthood, right? Every stage is just different. Just when you think you got a hang of it, like something else comes along. So these are like, I don't know, with parenthood, it's like you need to plan, but then you need to also be fluid. So it's all very interesting. I've learned so much from parenthood.
I tend to find that by being planned and organized and by reading up, it helps me to have tools and resources to
Yes.
implement when I need them. But I don't need to do them all the time, or I don't need to, subscribe to one strategy. Like you said, raising children, things change every couple of months, every couple of years. So
Yeah.
it might work in February and then it just does not work in May.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, right? Like, I thought I had this right. Um, but yeah, that piece around expressing emotion in front of our children, that's a really powerful piece, Sheila. And you've mentioned that, we get emotional about expressing that emotion, and then we get emotional about how our children react to that emotion. So it happens sometimes, right? And
Mm.
we don't always have control over ourselves or the situation, and that's okay.
Mm.
How do you then have a conversation with Layla, or how do you then help her to process positive and negative emotions, even for young
So,
people?
so for me, emotions are feelings, and emotions are one of the biggest thing, as well as I think it has to be paired with communication. So I think it's important for her to explore all different emotions. I mean, I learned this emotion chart in positive
Yes.
psychology, and I think that is so important, not just for children. I think for adults too. I think a lot of adults, a lot of us aren't aware of our emotion chart too. Like happiness has so many degree of happiness. It's not
Yes.
just about being excited, or it can be peaceful, or it can be simple joy. That's also a kind of happiness. And so I'm very, very, very glad that I did positive psychology before I have Layla, because then I'm able to teach her skills that I've learned for myself. and practice together with her. So I bought a lot of books about emotions when she was young, and I read it to her all the time. And especially like if I notice that she's struggling with a certain emotion, then I would look for books that is similar to that, and then read it to her. For example, recently I bought her a book on patience, because I mean, as a toddler, she is starting to get more and more impatient, and sometimes I don't have words, and it can't always come from me. I feel like as mother, sometimes when I tell her, it becomes very emotional, right? So then when it comes from books or something else like outsourced outside of me, then it becomes more objective. So, and it becomes like there's drawings and there's illustration, it becomes more fun as well. So then when I read a book to her, I will give examples like, when what are some of the times that you have to wait or remember, or when she loses patience, then I will bring the book in and say, remember, the book mentioned that, Ben had to wait for the parents to come home before she start playing with a new game. These are times where we practice patience, so I would then teach her. So this is how I guess I help her to build her emotional vocabulary, and then I will use the right words to help her explain. So now every time when she's feeling when she has big emotions, I will hold her and then I'll ask her, Layla, how are you feeling today? And I'm very happy because she has started to express. She will tell me, Layla is feeling sad. And then, like, a few minutes later, I will ask her, okay, why are you feeling sad? You want to tell me? But of course, at this point in time, she can't really express her sadness. She would tell me similar things. She'll tell me something along the line like, Layla want to play with blanket, for example. Like, we were playing and then we had to put her to bed, and therefore she's sad that she has to go to bed. So she can't really say that she wants to play more, but she would say something like, Layla likes the blanket. So that am able to kind of relate that, okay, it's because of the blanket, like a game that we were playing with the blanket, that makes her feel sad. So then I'll say, okay, I know that you really enjoyed the game. I did too, but then we can always play again tomorrow. There's always time and place for everything. And now that the fun has ended for the day, there were so many great things that happened. Now it's time for us to end the day and relax our body and go to sleep. And I'll ask her. Then now she's also learned to tell me, like, Layla is feeling okay now, and that is just so
Oh,
powerful, I feel.
yes.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing you say that you help Layla process her emotions. You sit down with her and you explore them with her, and you ask curious questions about that.
Yes,
So
I am very
not
curious with
dismissive,
her.
yeah, not dismissive, and not telling her it's right or wrong, but actually exploring them a little bit more and what they mean to Layla. I love it. But another really amazing bit that I want to pick up on and share that with our
Mhm.
audience is you're helping to role model good behavior through the storybooks. So it's not just about this is what mummy does and this is what's expected. It's about, well,
Mm.
here's this third party or here's this example, and this is going to help you to develop those healthy skills yourself, right? This is what
Yeah.
we are learning. This is helping to expose Layla to happy, positive ways of dealing with needing to be
Different
patient or
emotions. Yeah.
sharing or going to a park and playing with different people. So that's amazing. I love it. And I there was an earlier piece that you mentioned, Sheila, around expressing your emotion in front of your child. And I think I want you to, I consider that's quite a positive thing. If we also, as you did, sit down and have a chat with our child about that, because they need to learn how to manage,
Mm.
express their own feelings. And so it's really important that they see the adults around them being honest, being
Mm.
vulnerable, being authentic, but then doing something about it, processing that, and
Mm.
coming out and feeling better. So I think that's a really brave thing to do, Sheila. Like
It
I
takes a
love
lot
it.
of patience. It takes a lot. I mean, I try my best. I mean, I'm very grateful that I am a parent of today, because I feel like we have so many available information, and we are so much more aware and educated in so many, and
Yeah,
it's very so easily accessible. I mean, basically just this event itself, I think it's already so helpful, as well as all the social media. I mean, I always say this, I have a love-hate relationship with social media. But the thing is, social media also provides a lot of very, very helpful information. And these days, all the accounts that I follow, I feel like they teach me so much.
Yeah.
And there is information for every stage of parenting, not just for the child, but also for the mother. So I think these things are really, really helpful. And I always remind myself that, that today's parenting is very, very different from the past. Like,
Yeah.
we always used to kind of tell our child to stop crying, don't do this, don't do that. But look at how much baggage that has kind of caused us.
Mm.
So it really helps that I am also very aware, in the sense I've seen a psychology, I have meditated, I picked up all these skills that before parenthood, and so I am aware that of where I am right now. So I always remind myself to tell Layla not just the good things. I will tell her emotions come and go. You may be happy, but happiness will end too. So does sadness. It's not gonna be permanent. And I think that's very important for us to remember, not just for children, but also for adults, that no matter how tough or how happy we are, it will come and it will go. So just gotta
Absolutely.
embrace. And I think that eventually, I think it will help her to build resilience. And
Yes.
that's what I really want at the end of the day.
That's excellent. I love it. Sheila, you mentioned social media, and you mentioned
Mm.
you've filtered social media so that you're kind of you're following people that you align with. Can you give some tips or strategies to our audience here today on how they can choose or select the right people to follow, or what's your recommendations there?
I would say, I mean, parenthood to me, it is so subjective. There is definitely no right way or wrong way to parent. And there's no matter which way or which sect you are with, I think there's always available information out there that you can follow or that can guide you. And so I think it's important to find those that speaks to you in a positive way, instead of following accounts that makes you feel bad about yourself, accounts where it make you have self-doubt or feel like, okay, am I doing this wrong? Like, why is everyone else doing it, but then I can't do it? If thoughts like that are happening, or you're, I think it's just unnecessary. It's just unnecessary stress. And then unfollow them. I have no qualms with doing that. I think just
Yeah.
unfollow them, because social media is also a form of exchange of energy. And if you're gonna get all this negative energy coming to you, then I would say just unfollow them and find find those that is nurturing, find
Yeah.
those that's positive. Yeah.
And we've already spoken today, just in this short time, about how we have changed and evolved through different parenting phases, just as our
Mm-hmm.
kids do. And you might be following someone who's going down a different path from you, and it
Yes.
doesn't align with your values, right? So,
And I mean, as a public figure, I would say that a lot of things that we share, it's not the whole truth. It is just part of a truth. I post videos of Layla all the time, of her like eating with chopsticks, of her laughing. But then I don't really post pictures of her crying, because I'm dealing with those moments at the moment. I'm not gonna pick up a phone and record her crying, and then I would like to, because I feel like sometimes I want people to know that it's not all that smooth sailing too, which is why
yeah,
I translate them to writing. I don't have videos for that, but I write it out in post, because I want people to know the full picture, instead of just something that is of that moment, of a beautiful moment, which I feel like a lot of people will misunderstand, that, oh, things are so smooth sailing all the time, things are always good and beautiful. Why are things not the same on my end? It is not. We all go through the same things every day. uh like just with toddlerhood.
yeah. Sheila,
Yeah.
that's why we love you so much, because you
Oh,
are so authentic, and we do see that in your post, and everybody loves it. So
thank
it's so
you.
awesome. Please keep sharing with us.
I will.
Everybody,
I
nobody's
will.
following, right? We are with you all the way. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Sheila, we've got some questions coming in.
Yes.
Are you ready to take some questions
Yeah,
from our
sure.
wonderful audience? All right. So I'm not sure if they are going to be selected for us. The first question I have here is, Sheila, do you think social media makes parenting harder?
um I feel like it was for me. So like I say, I have a love-hate relationship with it. The accounts that I was following versus the accounts that I'm following now, or the accounts that I no longer follow now, they are quite different. So I feel like because I have changed too, and my priorities and my attention are no longer the same. And so like I said, I would subscribe to accounts that makes me feel positive, that encourages me and nurture me, instead of accounts that makes me self-doubt or question my role as a mother, as a person. Then yeah, then maybe I won't. But also for me, I guess because I've been in the industry for 17 years, and I'm very, very resilient to whatever is happening on social media. I do not subscribe to cyberbullying. I do not subscribe to things that makes me feel negative, because I always feel like what people who matters to you will tell you the truth, and
Yeah.
they will care. And if people are gonna just sprout negativity, then they probably don't really care. Then you shouldn't care too. So that's how I've always taken it.
I love it. And I guess, we're talking about social media as a communication resource. It's
Yes,
also a fantastic tool. And I can
it
check out
is.
before I get there, and I can, have a look at what the other children are doing, and look at other people's posts and go, yeah, I'm really happy with that. Or no, I don't want my child hanging from that. Right. And so, if you're finding that social, maybe we can look at our different perspective on social media, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to keep measuring myself
Mm-hmm.
against these other pictures and these other followers. I'm going to use it as a resource to answer a couple of questions here, or go and find out something about somewhere new, or plan my next outing or trip out.
No,
So
but it's like exactly what you had said in the beginning, like reading a book. You need to have all this information, and then at the end of the day, filter it out and find what's best for you. I think social media is exactly the same thing. Like you
yeah,
can kind of use it as a guide, but it doesn't have to be the whole truth. It doesn't have to be a Bible. You just kind of
yeah,
select, oh, like you say, like these are places that I can go, or maybe my child can try using a chopstick, because I just posted a video Layla using chopstick. But it doesn't have to be like, my child must be using chopstick at 2 years old. I think
that's
this makes it too stressful. So it can be a guide as to the potential that your child can achieve, but then it doesn't mean that they have to do it now, or it
exactly.
doesn't. Yeah,
Just like
that's social
toilet
media.
training, or just like
Yeah,
crawling or walking. We all do things in our own time.
yeah.
I'm going to move around, Sheila, because there's so many questions here, and I want to get a good range of them. This
Okay.
one's an interesting one. I really like it. So it's by Marcus. What are some things that your partner can do to drive the right conscious parenting behaviors together with you?
Okay, so this one, because I am very big on conscious parenting. Even though I'm very big, I feel like there are definitely moments where a lot of moments where I don't get it right. So what I do is that I would share this information with him. For example, I go for my course with positive psychology. I'll come home and then I will discuss it with him, and through my conversations with my friends, I would pick up and find that, hey, actually, that's a really, really helpful way of building a family. For example, I met up with a friend just 2 days ago, and she was telling me how she would implement like family time and dinner time as very important family time. So she will make sure that all kids are on the table at dinner time. And so then when I hear this, I feel like, hey, it's a really good way to grow with the family. And I'll come home, I'll ask him if he would like to subscribe to this too. And it has to be mutual. I can't come home and tell him like, you must do this, and then because my friend is doing this, or that I read about this, you must do this. I mean, when it comes to family parenting as a couple, I think it's very important to still be respectful with each other, and we must be able to do this together as a family.
Oh,
Otherwise, it becomes even more stressful for the mother or the person who wants to implement something, because then you're kind of like you against the world. But then we always need partnership in parenthood.
and the partner has some valuable stuff to contribute as
Yes,
well.
yes,
And they are going to bring their own wants and their own experiences into this family, and you guys are going to adopt them as your own. It's so exciting.
yes.
So
It
it
really
shouldn't
is.
be about the mother, if you like, or one person leading the other. It's about, like, exactly as you're doing, Sheila. It's that open platform, that open space. Hey, I've got this idea. How would you like to implement it? What does this mean for you? I love it. I think, conscious parenting, conscious relationships. It's all about us just being open and expressing with the people that we love, being receptive to their ideas. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's also about growing together with each other and, like you say, teaching new things. Because I can sometimes be very fixated with like, oh, emotional and like positive psychology, blah, blah, and stuff like that. And it helps that he sees it from another perspective.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Sheila, one more thing before we wrap up. Is there
Yes.
anything else you would like to share and impart with our audience today?
Oh, this is so soon. I wish I could share more. I wish you could take more questions, but okay, I promised my audience that I will go on live more often and I would speak more about parenthood. What I would like to share though is that I think it's very important for parents, mothers or fathers, to practice self compassion. I think sometimes we are always so hard on ourselves. We always have all this guilt, mom guilt or dad's guilt, whatever kind of guilt. We hit ourselves so hard. But I think it is always a learning journey. So practice self compassion. If we don't get it right today, there's always tomorrow.
Oh,
I think that's very important. It's never a bed of roses. It gets better. Sometimes there are days definitely it feels like one step forward and three steps back. But as long as we are kind of going on the direction or the goal that we ultimately want, which is for the best for the child or for the family, then I think we're all good. No comparison. I think comparison in parenthood is like one of the most dangerous thing. Always find confidence in yourself and what's best for the family and work from there, because that's all that matters. What is important is the family unit and not the comparison with someone else.
thank you so much, Sheila. Thank you for helping us wrap up our mental health festival with so much
Thank
love.
you so
We
much.
do need to move on to the next session. Cassandra, thank you. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Sheila. Thank you, Robin. I really wish we had more time. I wish my question was also answered, but there are just so many good questions. So we look forward to Sheila sharing more on your Instagram. I've already followed you, so you're probably a positive person to follow. So thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Robin, and thank you to all of you who have been listening in these 2 days and learning with us through our esteemed speakers. We have come to the end of the Mental Health Festival Asia 2022, but we will have our CEO and co-founder Theodoric close this festival officially in the next couple of minutes. So stay tuned to that and take care. We'll see you next year.
Bye.